So shark deterrents, do they really work? Well, I got my hands on a couple of these. The brand's called Shark Bands and the product's called Zeppelin. It's actually used as a sinker in a paternoster rig to set up on your fishing line, and the idea is when you're bringing the fish up, it sets off a electrical impulse in the water that deters sharks. So we checked it right out and wonder if they work. So today we're doing something completely different. We're in Weipa, and if you've ever fished Weipa, you'll know that one of the biggest issues you have here are sharks taking your fish as you're trying to bring them up, whether they're dewies, mackerel or whatever. And you'll see some footage here of me trying to bring some fish up and I'm just getting sharks, something shocking. What we've got is we've got some shark deterrents that we're trying out. So Jeff's with me again today. He's got a rod out there with no shark deterrent attached to it. I've got a rod with a shark deterrent attached to it, so we're going to see. So it's just a paternoster rig, big hook, shark deterrent on the bottom. So I've built it up and I've cubed up a couple of fish, thrown them out there, and that's going to attract a few sharks. And I'm just going to put this big mangrove jack's head on. Attach it to the shark deterrent. Jeff's got a big bait on, but he's got a nice fleshy piece of mangrove jack. Now, hopefully the sharks are going to come around with all that burley. They're going to see this big head, and I'm hoping they're going to be turned away by the shark deterrent. I've got light line on this, so if I do get hit by a shark, I'm not going to lose the whole shark deterrent, but we'll give it a go and see what happens. So we threw a heap of burley in the water, and the rod that didn't have the shark deterrent on it went off, and Kaylee's just been battling that thing for a while, and eventually it broke. So we never landed it, but I guarantee it was a shark. There's only one thing out here that runs like that. So yeah, so far the shark deterrent's working. We'll see if we can experiment with a few other ideas. I've got to say the jury's out whether it was a shark that grabbed hold of it, but the problem is that's $100 shark deterrent that is gone, and the head of the fish is still here. So don't know if these things work or not yet, because my fish head got grabbed with a shark deterrent on it and Jeff's didn't. So anyway, see how we go. That's one down. I got one left. We think we're onto a shark because this is the line that didn't have the shark deterrent on it. So looks like it's working so far. This was supposed to be Kaylee's fish, but she's turned it off to the old man. So we'll see if we can get this thing in and see if it is a shark, which I'd put $100 on it being a shark. Don't want you. I know you're cranky, but tell us what happened.
I got sharked.
We're out here catching sharks and you got sharks. Look, the rod that had the shark deterrent on it, or used to have a shark deterrent on it, actually got a shark and got sharked. And now I'm missing one shark deterrent. The rod without the shark deterrent has got two sharks. So the jury's still out on whether these things work or not. We're going to go and see if we can fire up some sharks somewhere and see if we can drop the shark deterrent in with a bait on it with sharks that are already fired up and see how well it works there. But I might need to order a couple more shark deterrents yet. So we mucked around with the shark deterrent by putting a fishing rod out with a shark deterrent on and a fishing rod out without it, burleying some sharks up. We think that the fishing rod with the shark deterrent got taken by a shark, so that's not a good sign for the shark deterrent. So we're going to do something different. We're going to burley up a heap of sharks, and instead of putting a hook on the last shark deterrent I got, because I think I'll lose it, I'm not very confident in them anymore, we're going to drop it down on top of the sharks while they're feeding on some old fish frames we're going to throw in the water. and we're going to see if that deters them at all. So we're going to give it a bit of a run. Jeff's here to give me a hand, and we'll see how we go. Well, that was insane. There's no way that that shark deterrent deterred any of those sharks. I had to pull it out of the water and just let them go because they were grabbing hold of it. It's even got a couple of teeth marks in it now. Most of them were just hitting it with their nose because they were probably annoyed by the by the deterrent action of the shark deterrent, but it wasn't enough to stop them from feeding on all those fish frames. We must have had 5 or 6 sharks all fighting over some frames. I know that that's an extreme example, but if you're fishing on a reef with a $100 shark deterrent and you're pulling up a fighting fish and you've got a shark sitting under your boat, it's pretty fired up, and I don't know if the shark deterrent's going to deter him. It certainly didn't deter these, and I don't think it deterred a shark. Even though we got 2 sharks on the rod without the deterrent, got 1 shark on the rod with the deterrent, maybe it is a little bit of a deterrent, but whether it's enough to stop the sharks from taking your bait fish, I don't know. My test didn't work, so there's been other tests on YouTube showing that it does work. So for me, no good.